All right, good morning guys. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, heading out on my long run, and today I'm joined with my homies and one of my best friends, AJ. Today's videos, I'm hoping, will be kind of quick. Kind of just want to give you guys 5 tips for the long run. This is geared more towards like beginners, because obviously like I'm just a dude who loves running for the physical and mental benefits. But that's why we have AJ here today. He's a bit more experienced than I am. He had a couple of years of cross country in high school, and then he has 3 marathons under his belt, which is a pretty awesome feat to have. What marathons did you run?
I ran the Ohio Marathon in Toledo. I ran the Long Beach Marathon twice.
And what was your times?
For the Long Beach Marathon, I ran it in I think like 4:10.
That was your first one?
That was my second one.
Okay.
And then I ran the second time Long Beach Marathon in 3:50. And then I ran the marathon in Ohio at 3:53.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And those were all like a couple of years ago, huh?
Yeah, that was within the 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, me and AJ have known each other for a long time, ever since high school. Kind of been a part of each other's running journeys since the beginning. But back in like ROTC.
Yeah.
We were both in the JROTC, and we would always kind of like compete with each other on the mile, and that kind of helped us. That kind of helped motivate each other to like get faster. But yeah, so moving on to the tips for the long runs. I think the long run is like a very important part of your week. I feel like once you start implementing the long run, it's like that's when your training is going to start leveling up. The first tip, the long is relative, right? So if obviously your weekly mileage is like 8 miles per week, you don't want to go out like running an 8-mile long run, right? You want to probably do a 6-mile long run or a 5-mile long run, right? So it's all relative. So just because you see some professional runner knocking out like 16 miles on Strava, or like you know, some Tin Man elite dudes on YouTube like we're knocking out 20 miles, doesn't mean that you should be trying to attempt that on your first long run. I personally made the mistake of like doing that when I started attempting the long runs. On my first ever long run attempt of 10 miles, I hit the wall pretty bad at like mile 6 and 7. And it nearly took me like 4 hours to like pretty much get back home, because I was just dying of like just soreness and dehydration, and it just wasn't a fun experience. So learn from my experience and adjust your long run mileage accordingly to your total mileage. I'm gonna put my stats up here on the screen so you guys can see like how terrible it went. So like I said earlier, don't be like me and ease into it.
The other thing is would be like consider long as how long you're on the road too, not how far you're gonna go.
Right.
If you can go for like 30 minutes, then try to go for like 40 if that's a long time for you.
Right.
But if you're already a stable runner, then you should definitely go for a longer distance for sure, rather than longer time, to improve your speed and strength.
Yeah, that's a really good tip too. It doesn't always have to be a certain mileage, right? So second tip is to ease into your long run, right? Like just because your other runs throughout the week and you're hitting like 8-minute paces or 9-minute paces doesn't automatically mean that your long run should also be that same pace, because again, you're holding that pace for an X amount of time, X amount of miles. Like you'll burn yourself out or risk yourself of injury, and you're not going to get the full effects of pretty much the whole purpose of what a long run is, right? Definitely take it easy, take your time. Take the long run as an opportunity to figure out what your quote-unquote easy pace is. And easy pace is not your race pace.
Never try to rush it, because this is supposed to be somewhere you're supposed to grow, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is your growing part, and you may not feel like you're going the fastest, but you're definitely going to stretching your limitations a little bit more, doing a long run slower.
Okay, the long run is the time to put your ego aside and buckle in, because you're going to be out there for a long time. So you know, take it slow, ease into it. That's number 2. So tip number 3 is to hydrate. Obviously, because it's a long run, you're going to be out there a bit longer, and so don't be afraid to have like either, you know, a handheld water bottle, maybe even a Camelback. Or what you can do is just say if you're running loops around your neighborhood, just stash it in a bush near your house or on your front porch, so that way you don't have to worry about carrying anything or adding weight to your body. Hydrating is really important. I mean, since you're out for a long time, especially if you're in a humid area, your body is you know, losing a lot of water, and you know, you don't want to risk cramping up or dehydrating yourself. Yeah, hydrate. Don't forget to hydrate. Super important.
Hydration is really key for not like passing over on the road.
Right.
I think another thing, other than besides what you focus on, is the hydration before the day before. So drink a good amount of water the night of, because that will carry on to the morning of or the afternoon of when you go run.
Tip number 4 for long run tips for beginners is don't be afraid to take a break. You know, just because you take a 3 to 5 minute break doesn't mean your run is like doesn't count anymore. You know, like you're not in a competition with anybody but yourself when you're out there doing your long run, you know. So I would much rather you take a necessary break that you need and finish up the mileage or the time than to tap out in the middle of your long run and, you know, not accomplish what you set out to do. So yeah, if your muscles are feeling sore, your body's feeling kind of heavy or tense, take a break. I wouldn't necessarily suggest like sitting down, but definitely like get some leg swings in, get some squats in, just to get that blood flowing again. And for me personally, doing those leg swings or squats, like, it really helps me get a little bit fresh again to knock out the rest of my mileage. So give that a shot and let me know how it works for you. Any tips for taking a break?
Yeah, so going back to one of my marathons, actually, on my slowest marathon in Long Beach, I ran in 4 hours, and I definitely took breaks because I would have run it under 4 miles if I didn't walk a few times. So yeah, you might feel a little bit of a blow to your ego or your pride, but it's out of necessity, and it's out of like trusting your body and how it feels. So don't try to push like limitations too far, because then you might regret something after the run's over.
So 5th tip for the long run tips for beginners is to trust the process. You know, like kind of circling back to number 1 or number 2, where you kind of have to ease into it. You might be out there and feeling like, man, like this is not contributing to my overall fitness, or like I'm not used to going this slow. But again, like the long run is important in terms of leveling up your training. The whole point of the long run is to build your aerobic base, right? And if you trust the process and you stay consistent with your long runs, you'll see improvements in your running throughout the week. Once your body kind of absorbs that training and absorbs that stimulus, yeah, again, you just have to set your ego aside and spend some time in that slower pace. And in the long run, you'll be glad that you did. So yeah, tip number 5, trust the process. One more bonus tip before I end the video is to, as much as, you know, the next day you want to potato out after a long run, try your best to get your ass out the door. Get a quick recovery in, you know. 1 mile, 2 miles, something super slow, maybe even slower than your long run was. You know, it helps get blood flowing to your muscles, and helps, in my opinion, helps with that recovery process, because obviously your muscles are super tight, super tense. Promoting some blood flow in those muscle groups will definitely benefit you, as opposed to kind of just laying out and not doing anything the next day. So yeah, bonus tip number 6, get your recovery run in. That's pretty much the 5 or 6 tips that I have for beginners when it comes to the long run. If there's any other beginners out there, let me know if this was helpful to you. If there's any intermediate or advanced runners out there and you guys notice that AJ or I missed something, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Spread your knowledge to the people that need it, including myself. And yeah, I'm gonna finish this long run up with AJ, hoping to hit anywhere between 11 to 13 miles. So I'll also film just some B-roll footage so I could use it in future videos. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to take care of yourselves physically and mentally, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.